When determining how a character overcomes the obstacles that face them, whether it be a challenge of a particular skill or a conflict with another character, I begin my judgment on the basis that all player characters are the stars of their own show, and so no matter how powerful their abilities may seem, plot armor is what makes everyone equal. With that understood, I then use my own judgment to determine which way the scales will tilt, and which way the scales tilt is all dependent on the circumstances, such as location, the intentions of characters involved, perks, and most importantly, the details you put within your submissions. The creativity of your details go a long way and are usually the reason why the story unfolds a particular way. A detail alone could change the entire scene's setting, thus tilting the scales drastically. It is also why word count is limited. Words are power. Once all advantages and disadvantages have been considered, I determine the likelihood of the player character's success and roll a 100-sided die with its quartiles representing varying windows of success. This process is only conducted when players cross paths with opposition who have conflicting intentions. It is a method heavily inspired by the Mythic game engine, a system I encourage any tabletop RPG fan to learn. Their products can be found in a link in the description. I have since morphed the way I judge outcomes, making some sort of homebrew concoction, all in favor of the story being told and the large-scale operation that is P&D. And now I want to bring a powerful tool into the world of RolePunk that is very similar to it in order to take it to the next level. The GM Roller. GM Roller is an easy tool that will act as a GM and provide some more structure for the role-punking experience. By asking the GM Roller a yes or no question and providing what you honestly believe the likelihood of it being a yes is, the bot will repeat the question you asked along with its decision and the dice result. The likelihood you provide changes the table the dice are rolled on. Likelihood code is what it's called. You can provide the likelihood code right after the question, and the codes range from extremely unlikely, very unlikely, unlikely, somewhat unlikely, either way, which is 50-50, somewhat likely, likely, very likely, and extremely likely. And these codes can just be typed in with their initials: XU, VU, U, SU, EW, SL, LVL, XL. If no code is provided, it will default to EW, which is either way, 50-50. And this is good for determining trivial details while you're role-playing. Sometimes you might just want to know if something you're eating for the first time tastes good or not. Little stuff like that. GM results. The best part of the GM Roller's results is on a critical yes or no, the answer will be followed by the word and, which for yes could mean yes and then some. It would be interpreted as an even better result. However, on the answer of no and, this is interpreted as no and it gets worse. There can even be a slight twist to your result if the yes or no is followed by the word but, meaning yes, but there's a twist. The result was not everything you thought it'd be. Or no, but there's an alternative, a caveat. Keywords. Your personal keywords are a tool to help you navigate through the narrative. Rely on them, as you are more likely to be successful if you can tie the narrative to your keywords. If you can tie your keyword to it and it makes sense, that justifies you giving yourself a little bonus of odds, just like in the main series. This will provide necessary structure to the RolePunk experience that I envision, and will really provide some wholesome RNG for your role-playing. So let's discuss the changes to RolePunk. Living in RolePunk. I would like RolePunk to feel like living in a shared universe where everyone is a fully functioning pillar of the ecosystem. Every punk type contributes to the world in some shape or form that is unique to them. World building from the perspective of your punk type is an overarching goal of every player. This is because every player is digging their own way through the setting and discovering the lore that they get a chance to create and bring to our attention. Use your ability to think on your feet and write what you imagine and roleplay. And if ever you need to know something, ask the GM roller the question. Is there a gang of thugs waiting around this corner? Let's discuss odds. By using the GM roller and providing likelihood codes, you can now attach a difficulty to your current objective or endeavor by assigning it a likelihood code. The harder the task, the more impressive and impactful the feat should be perceived as. What you achieve through your lifestyle and field of expertise is measured by your success in your punk type's endeavors. Timelines. Not only do I encourage you to create some interesting and personal character stories surrounding your endeavors, whether it's success or failure, I encourage you to post your achievements and journal entries on your Anvil profiles and timelines. Master endeavors. For those with the competitive spark, every now and then I will hold a special challenge where players can attempt a special endeavor set to the likelihood of unlikely. Like all endeavors, you'll especially want this one to be creative because if successful, you can submit lore associated with your successful endeavor. And when it comes time at the end of the season to figure out who was the most successful punk type in their respective punk type category, I would imagine those with the master endeavors are more so in line for that award. No PvP. In the past, I built out a RolePunk rule set to be solely narrative based, powered by good sportsmanship and objectivism. I also sold it as a way to settle conflicts. I encouraged roleplay to an extent of expecting non-combat characters to utilize combat characters to fight their battles, and overall, it promoted more combat than intended. And to be honest, I don't feel it's right to subject your characters to that. The only place appropriate for perishing is on the main stage under my sound judgment. That said, I am discontinuing the RolePunk PvP rules in favor of a pure PvE, player versus environment, RolePunk experience that focuses on role-playing and world building. With how open your abilities are and the variance with the different character types, it just isn't wholesome for the community to allow player judgment on matters of defeat by the hands of another. That's something that we need to remain consistent. Because even when you lose in the main series, at least I leave room for redemption and there's a purpose and you can bounce back, but that's not going to happen outside of my supervision. However, there will be an even better way to quench that PvP itch. All I'll say for now is be prepared to become the very best that no one ever was. But more on that later. Let's discuss ongoing events. There will be ongoing events that will populate various districts. These will act as mini challenges that can be tackled and possibly overcome by getting through its phases. A challenge's phases will require you, or you and your allies, to complete an objective before going into the next phase. For example, the first phase will require you to break into a highly guarded estate. It has the likelihood code of likely. You will roleplay through the actions, make it however long you want it to be, until finally you are in the position to ask the challenge question that matters. Do I successfully break into the estate? As players, you can plan accordingly and strive to overcome what opposes you. If you all feel you have found a way to get a leg up and can justify receiving a bonus to your odds, then you can make the judgment call to increase the odds of success by 1 rank max, putting the odds a little bit more in your favor, depending on what the objective is. If you get a no to that question, then you must react and circle back around to the same challenge question with a new strategy. If you had a bonus, you lose that bonus after the failure and must justify a new reason why you feel the odds should be more in your favor. If you fail the challenge question twice, you get defeated and as a player cannot attempt that challenge for another 24 hours. I recommend teaming up with allies for challenges that require certain punk types or give bonuses to the odds. The players who overcome the challenge can submit a short story about their experiences glorifying their achievement. There will be a link that you'll be able to click, but you can only click that link if you successfully achieve the challenge, man. Don't play around with that. Make sure you have witnesses, damn it. No, but seriously, I'm trusting you because you'll get access to an entire article that you'll be able to build from scratch. And once you submit that, I'll be able to double check and then publish it for you, and it will appear within the Gamma Haven world. These are like district events, and like district events, they will be swapped out periodically as they will consist of lore that is submitted by players who have lore passes. My intention with all of this is to give players role-playing activities to participate in so it can feel like they are experiencing the setting in a totally different way than others. I hope that this encourages players to challenge each other in other ways as well. Maybe two executive punk types try to see who's the first to purchase and own every restaurant in a particular district, or maybe which celebrity can prove that they are most influential by single-handedly changing the fashion trend in a district. Maybe aim high and make your daily endeavor an absurd attempt at changing the fashion of the entire city. Extremely unlikely, right? But what do you have to lose? And you get every day to try. What will you do in Haven? Gamma monsters are a species of mutant creatures that have been completely removed from Monster Island and smuggled over into Haven City's Beast District. They hatch from eggs, and every single one of them is unique and one of a kind. These creatures have an instinctual tick for combat and love to grow and improve alongside the guidance and parenthood of their trainers. Culture. Monster battles are a common pastime, and almost everyone owns a monster that they keep stored away. Tournaments and duels spring up like wildfires for leisure, and a whole subculture exists under two divisions similar to a sports league. The League of the Underground, governed by the criminal underlord Javcomas, and the League of the Seas, governed by Cervantes de Agueja. It is a non-political affiliation and is solely fueled by intense competitive spirit. Cervantes and Drav are two player characters who are the founders of competitive Gamma Monster battles and remain in somewhat friendly competition as trainer combatants represent the Under or the Seas during every competition, and thus they are always looking for boasting rights. Imagine Gamma Monsters as totally separate continuity where you all ignore the main series chaos for a bit to come together and compete. Your style as a trainer, alongside the randomized aesthetics of your growing monster, will be a sight to behold because there's only one thing better than winning, and that's looking cool while doing it. Owning a monster. Owning a monster is a big deal, and it starts with going to the Beast District to receive your first freshly hatched monster. Every monster will be rolled on a table that will determine its characteristics all the way down to its starting ability. Size, caliber, and rarity will be rolled. If your monster ends up being a rare one, it will gain an abnormality for its specific type. Let's talk about types. There are 10 types of Gamma Monster: alien, animal, animated, as in a living object, elemental, humanoid, supernatural beast, amorphous, plant, undead, then lastly, insect. A rare monster will have a prominent trait of another type and could make a difference in how its abilities are performed. No matter how odd or strange your monster turns out to be, it is unique, and I hope that you learn to embrace its imperfections. Let's talk about battles. Battles are turn-based and involve both parties commanding their monster to use an ability. Abilities either affect yourself, your target, or the environment. Attack and defense. Every monster has an attack and defense stat with a set likelihood code. When attacking a target, you write what your attack looks like, then ask the GM roller the question if it hit. You will use your monster's attack stat as the likelihood code for this question. If it hit, then the player on the receiving end asks if it hurt, using their monster's defense stat as the likelihood code. 2 simple questions. The idea behind this is your monster can be resilient enough to be hit, but it might not take them out, and they can carry on. However, if you get hurt, keep track of this. If a monster gets hurt 3 times in a battle, the 3rd will KO them. Let's talk about criticals and twists. If you receive a yes and on the question of if you hit, this is considered a critical and is an invitation to really embellish on how this glorious attack impacted your opponent. If this critical hurts them, it is an automatic KO. A hit resulting in a no and is a critical miss and gives the defender a free reaction to act. Any answer with the word but after it just gives the players an invitation to add some juicy narrative fluff or excitement. Think of it like a flop. If you get hit and no, it didn't hurt, but it made your monster wince a bit. Simple. Evolution. Your monster has a chance of evolving or learning a new ability after every victory. You'll have the choice of asking one of 2 questions. Does my monster evolve? Which is extremely unlikely. Does my monster evolve? With the likelihood of extremely unlikely? Or does my monster learn a new move? With the likelihood of unlikely. Evolving gives your monster a new look, a change in stats, and closer to maturity because it can only evolve twice. It also learns a new ability upon evolving. While in its 3rd and last form, whenever you ask the question after winning a battle of if your monster learns a new ability, that likelihood code goes from unlikely to extremely unlikely. It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, right? But if it does happen to learn a new move with the likelihood of extremely unlikely, then that move is going to be a badass ability. We want growth to be slow in order to simulate the long road of becoming the very best there ever was. Not only that, but we want evolution and growth to be a big deal that we celebrate. Once a monster gets the green light to evolve or learn a new ability, notify me so I can come and begin the process of determining what your monster's evolved state is going to look like, as well as what the new ability is going to be. An announcement in that case is in order. Abilities. Abilities will have many varied effects and none will be the same. They will range depending on your monster's traits and will have a large effect on the odds of the likelihood codes. For example, an ability that triggers your monster's outer shell to become harder might let you move the likelihood code of your defense stat from slightly likely to very unlikely to the question of if it hurts or not. Monsters can only have up to 4 abilities at once, and so you must forget one ability in order to replace it with the 5th one, Pokemon style. Catching gamma monsters. Every so often, the Beast District will become repopulated with more monsters. When this is announced, I will post time slots in the district, with which are the best times to go hunting. Each time slot could have varying likelihoods to catch monsters or varying monster types. Maybe X amount of rare supernatural beast types are available during only 30 minutes in a day. Every player will have only one trip to the district, with one chance to catch it. The early bird gets the worm. Tournaments and gym leaders. Whether it's playground rules or organized tournaments, however the community decides, we need to figure out who is the best of the best, because each district is going to need one gym leader. With access to the pin permissions, a gym leader will be able to come up with and post the aesthetics of their gym and decorating the room with pictures, propaganda, and even copy and paste the highlights of their battles. The gym leader will also receive their specific color for their name in the Discord to let people know that they are the current title holder of the gym, or whatever titles are out there for tournaments and championships and belts like that. I'll let you all decide who gets a shot at the gym leader and how to dethrone the gym leader. And what's important is that the gym leader title is one that represents a person who overcame many. So I suggest a monthly tournament held for the title so that the title holder can at least sit there for a while. If any player wants to spearhead the Gamma Monster League, be my guest. As long as the battle mechanics are understood, you all can figure out who fills those gym leader roles and seats. All right. In closing, my intention is to give us all some cool things to do in the P&D Discord. I will tweak and make adjustments as we go. All of this is subject to change as usual. And I will need and appreciate your patience with me getting you all your monsters and all that jazz. I hope everyone has fun with RolePunk and Gamma Monsters. It's been something that I've talked about for a while, and I'm glad we can finally get it implemented. The reason this update is called the Phoenix Update is because I want to dedicate these changes to Rezanok, a player and member of the P&D community who has assisted with Discord moderation and has supported P&D for years. Shoot him a thank you when you see him. We'll be nicknaming the GM roller DrivethruRPG because, you know, DrivethruRPG answers all the questions. Right? He's always there for you. DrivethruRPG is going to be the name of the GM roller. On that note, thank you for playing, liking, and subscribing. See you in the city. And really looking forward to see who our gym leaders are going to end up being. Oh, I want to be the very best. No one ever was. To catch them is my real test. To train them is my goal.